let me introduce our speaker today. So our presenter today is an Irishman happily exiled in Chicago, where he says the Guinness is good and the natives are friendly, and he has had more, been force-fed more corned beef and green beer than he ever had since he was in Ireland. Conor is a business speaker, consultant, and award-winning humorist and author. And Conor's mission in life is to improve people, performance, and productivity with a smile. So Conor has written 2 books on Mark Twain. He is a Chicago Humor Speaker of the Year. Conor is a 2-time cancer survivor. And as an Irishman, he is particularly proud to be the recipient of the President's Gold Medal for Volunteer Service for the work he has done with the unemployed. So I'd like to welcome Conor, the happily exiled, Guinness drinking, corned beef eating Irishman. And today he's going to talk to us about the gift of gab. So with that, I'm just going to turn it over to Conor. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin, for that intro. And for those of you who are watching, thank you. We've got a diverse group here attending. But I should just tell you that I have actually been working on my Chicago accent now for about 18, 19 years. And all that has really turned out of that is that Brother Flaherty, my Christian brother in Ireland, was probably correct when he said that, Cunneen, you are a bit dense. But irrespective of that, we are enjoying our time here in Chicago. What I want to speak to you today is a concept about improved employee engagement through the gift of gab. Now, as you're probably aware, the Irish are famous for the gift of gab, which some people say is our ability to spew out voluminous torrents of words without pausing for breath. Others say it's our ability to paint evocative word pictures that has the listener crying sorrowful tears in the pint of Guinness. And more people say that the gift of gab, the Irish have the gift of gab because we're good at BS. Now, as I come from a marketing background, and BS to me means breakthrough strategy or business solutions, I'm okay with that. Because what I want to talk to you about today is what I would consider to be a breakthrough strategy that will help you to improve employee engagement through this concept of the gift of gab. And as you will see as we go through this program, GAB is an acronym for goals, attitude, and behavior. Goals, attitude, and behavior. And it's a framework that can help you, your work colleagues, and your clients and members to improve engagement throughout the day. The slides should be moving on. Are we moving on? Right. This is a photograph actually of people kissing the Blarney Stone in Ireland. It's a recent photograph. Well, it's recent in that I downloaded it recently. We've also got, this is the more modern one. But what I want to speak about is, more seriously, is GAB as an acronym for goals, attitude, and behavior. And how if you adopt this concept of goals, attitudes, behavior, it will improve employee engagement and the workplace environment as well. What we'll cover quite briefly is the importance of having clear and well-defined goals and vision. We'll speak about macro goals and micro goals in particular. And when I get to micro goals, I'll be providing you with 5 simple micro goals that if you implement on a daily basis will make a dramatic difference. And I'm using that word carefully. It'll make a dramatic difference to the workplace environment. We'll talk about attitude and having the right attitude when you have to have the right attitude. And finally, when it comes to behavior, we'll talk about the fact that, in my opinion, your behavior creates your brand. Your behavior determines what people say about you, and what people say about you is your brand. And your brand is going to determine whether or not people want to work with you. So let's have a look at the gift of gab. First element is goals and vision. But from the research I have done, I'm convinced that successful companies, successful people, and successful events are successful because the organizers and the people involved have got clear goals and clear vision. Clear goals and clear vision. Now, for those of you who might be a little bit left brain, you might be saying, well, Conor, goals and vision are different. They are, but for the sake of this webinar in the short period, I might mix them up a little bit. But ultimately, clear vision, then you provide clear goals. So we'll start off with a little quiz. And there is a prize for this. One of my books is It's for the Love of Being Irish. It's an A to Z of Ireland with a lot of these illustrations in it, all of these illustrations. I do a limerick for each letter of the alphabet and a little bit of Irish history. So whoever comes up with the answer first to this question gets a copy of For the Love of Being Irish. The question is, who is this guy, or what brand is he associated with? I'll make it easier for you now. You remember you'll get a copy of For the Love of Being Irish for the person to get it right. Who is this guy, or the brand that he is associated with? And you'll actually see the brand there in that photograph. Here we see the person in his work environment. All right, Natasha Hedrick Rosier has got Starbucks, and Marilyn Mages has got everyone. Has got Starbucks as well. So we'll give 2 copies of the book, okay? Well done, thank you. And this is Howard Schultz in the work environment, where I think employee engagement is seen every day. It's astonishing for a 25,000 unit business that he's able to make it happen. Why is he able to make it happen? One of the reasons he's able to make it happen is because he's got a clear goal and vision as to what success would look like. And it's only just about one generation ago that Howard Schultz was walking the streets of Chicago with a business colleague, and he said to that business colleague, they were looking for the first Starbucks unit outside of the Seattle area. He said, in 5 years' time, everyone on this street will be walking around with a Starbucks cup in their hand. Howard Schultz, in 5 years' time, everyone on this street will be walking around with a Starbucks cup in their hand. Now, he had that vision and that goal at a time hardly anyone would have known Starbucks. And he was actually, Starbucks was so cash-strapped, he wasn't taking a salary out of it. But what he did have was a clear goal and a clear vision. And this raises a question, I think, for you in your business. When you are planning events, do you have a clear goal and vision as to what success looks like? And I'll ask a few other questions about that. Can you see what success looks like? Can you visualize it? And particularly for the people that you're working with, can you articulate what that success will look like? So let's take an example of a program you might be running in March here in the Chicagoland area. You're expecting 700 people to attend it. And that might be just what the basic goal is. But I think if you can actually articulate that for this event in Chicago in March, we will have 700 people leaving the event energized, motivated, educated, and with good takeaways to bring back to their organization. That's what I would call the articulation of a clear vision. And if you can articulate your event some way like that, put it down on paper, agree with your colleagues, this is what our vision is, then each time you're doing some activity or planning some program around that conference, you can say, all right, is it going to energize people? Is it going to motivate them? Is it going to educate them? Are they going to be walking away with takeaways? And if those actions you're proposing don't tie in with that vision, well, you've got to ask yourself, are they the right actions? That's what I mean about articulating your vision. Now, the next thing I would like to talk briefly about is, again, I'll give you a quote from Howard Schultz, the Starbucks guy. Starbucks is not in the coffee business, he said. And I think I heard some coffee cups just dropping there in astonishment. He says, Starbucks is not in the coffee business serving people. What he does is he takes those words, turns them around, and he says, Starbucks is in the people business serving coffee. And I think that is a brilliant way to look at your business, because all of us, we are all in the people business, and you are in the people business as well. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to give you 5 micro goals that will help you to improve people engagement and to improve the client and member benefits as well. So quiz time here again. First quiz is, may not be an prize for this one. Question is, how do you feel when you achieve a goal? And actually, if someone wants to answer that, I will provide another copy of a Mark Twain book. How do you feel when you achieve a goal? Accomplished, okay, is one. Thanks, Kevin. Energized, sometimes relieved. I know the way Dan that works. But other words that come up are, so Dan and Kevin are going to be prize winners as well. Other words that come up are things like positive, upbeat, happy, good, etc. Now, that doesn't happen just by chance. What actually causes this is our brain is wired, and there's neurotransmitters in the brain. And when something positive happens, what actually happens is dopamine kicks in. And dopamine is known as the feel-good chemical. And basically, if you achieve a goal, you know you've achieved that goal, the dopamine kicks in, you feel better about yourself. I have to tell you that I was doing a program a couple of months ago, a live one, and I did ask my audience, did they know what dopamine was? And one of the men in the audience just shouted out, dopamine, that's my teenage son. So some people have different versions of a dopamine, but the basic concept is dopamine is a feel-good chemical. Now, if you achieve a goal, dopamine kicks in, it's going to make you feel better. But wouldn't it be wonderful if dopamine kicks in not once a day, but actually 5 times a day based on you achieving a small basic goal? And what I'm going to put to you is 5 micro goals that happen to spell out, so you can remember them, the word CHAPS, C-H-A-P-S. So I'm going to reference CHAPS to all of you chaps over the next few minutes or so. In Ireland, England, chaps tends to refer to guys. It's just another word for guys. So it's more male orientated, but forgive me if I use it here in the generic sense. So chaps is the 5 micro goals that you can implement that will change the work environment. First micro goal I want to talk about is compliment. And I'm going to ask you a few questions here. Would you agree that when someone compliments you, you feel good? Would you agree that when someone compliments you, you get closer bond with that person? Thank you for that comment. So there are 2 questions. Let's rework it slightly. My internet connection is open to get this. Would you that when you compliment someone, they will feel good? And then the other question is, when you compliment someone, that would you agree they'll feel a closer bond to you? So the benefits of compliments are quite obvious. Now, the question is, the comment from my favorite author, Mark Twain. He said, I can live on a good compliment 2 weeks with nothing else to eat. So he understood the power of compliments. So the point about compliment I would ask you to think about is when was the last time you complimented someone? Internet connection is not gone, but I'm just asking you to think about it. And what I would suggest is that if you can get into the habit of complimenting at least one person every day, it'll make a difference to you and to the person you're speaking to. Because what's going to happen? When you compliment one person today and you set yourself a micro goal, my micro goal is I will compliment one person today. You go into work, you compliment that one person. That person is going to feel better about themselves. They're going to feel a closer bond to you. But what also is happening is you can say, hey, I've achieved my micro goal. The dopamine kicks in. I feel better about myself. It is a win-win. Simple micro goal that can help you to improve employee engagement. Mark Twain said also, the compliment that helps us on our way is not the one that is shut up in the mind, but the one that is spoken out. And the way I look at that is that we're often around a table saying how wonderful Jerry or Marie are at their job, but we're only talking to our colleagues. We don't actually say that to Jerry or to Marie. My micro goal for you is that at least once a day, I will compliment one person, Jerry or Marie or someone like that. Okay, now, basic concept here, I want to take a break just for 1 second from the micro goals. And some of you might be saying, that, hey, Conor, I already compliment people. Okay, very, very good if you do, and that's brilliant. What I'm saying is that you take activities you're already doing and reframe them as a goal. So yesterday you might have complimented someone and probably had an impact on that person. But if you hadn't set it as a goal, you weren't getting the dopamine hit. So this is why I'm asking you to reframe some of the activities you're doing that spell out chaps that as micro goals that will help you to have the dopamine kick in. So another example of reframing, anyone who's read Tom Sawyer will remember that Tom got his friends to paint the whitewash the fence because he persuaded them it wasn't a chore, it was fun, it was an activity, etc. So that's an example of reframing there. Let's have a look at, so the micro goal 1, compliment someone today. Micro goal 2 is I will go into work this afternoon after this webinar. When this webinar is over, I will hear the words thank you. The basic idea here is that for me to hear the words thank you, I've got to do something to generate those 2 words. So you have a goal that I would hear the words thank you. You do something to hear the words thank you. The person you have helped is going to appreciate you more. You hear the words thank you. The dopamine kicks in. You're feeling better about yourself. Win-win for everyone. Micro goal 3 is A is for address. And by address here, I basically mean in conversation, address colleagues and clients by name. You know that if you're in a room and someone mentions your name in another conversation in another part of the room, you actually do hear your name pop out. You may not know what the rest of the conversation was, but your name does pop. That happens because your name in your vocabulary is the most powerful word actually in your vocabulary. And it's the same with the person you are speaking to. If in conversation you start addressing colleagues by name, it makes a visceral connection. When you're looking to seal a deal with a client or when you're dealing with a vendor and you drop their name once or twice in the conversation, it does make a visceral impact and it will help you to improve the relationship with that person. A simple example I suggest to people is the next time you go to the supermarket, there's probably going to be a young kid there who will be on the checkout. Just as you go up to that person, a young kid or otherwise, they'll have their name badge on, address them by name, and just see the reaction and the positive dynamic that will actually happen. P, micro goal 4 is, my micro goal is that I will use today positive words or positive phrases when I'm dealing with someone. And we don't have to go crazy on this. What I'm saying is once a day at least, I will use positive words, positive phrases. What are you doing? You're actually affirming someone's work. Your goal is kicking in, saying, hey, I've used positive words, and you're going to feel better about yourself. And the final one is S is for smile. And basically here, what I'm saying is have a goal to put a smile on someone's face today. When you have that goal and you achieve that goal, what's going to happen? You're going to have a smile on your face. 5 simple little concepts that will help you to improve employee engagement. 5 simple little concepts that spell out chaps that will also help you to feel better about yourself. And if I was to just put it into one microcosm, there's one activity there that can actually generate all of those 5 activities, chap activities, and that is compliment. Because when you compliment someone, you'll hear the words thank you, you'll almost certainly be addressing them by their name, you're saying something positive, you put a smile on someone's face. That is the power of a compliment. Let's move on with pace, my people. Micro goals, compliment, hear the words thank you, address by name, positive words, positive phrases, smile. Right. I'm conscious of time. Attitude. Have the right attitude when you have to have the right attitude. So let's look here at what we should do with attitude. One of the, am I stuck? Okay, attitude. This is Viktor Frankl. You may be familiar with him. He was an Austrian psychiatrist who spent some years in the Nazi concentration camps. In his book, Man's Search for Meaning, he wrote, "Everything can be taken from a person except the last of their freedoms, the ability to choose one's attitude in any set of circumstances." The preceding sentence Frankl wrote was, "We who lived in the concentration camps can remember the people who walked through the huts comforting others. They were few in number, but they provided sufficient proof that everything can be taken from a person except the last of their freedoms, the ability to choose one's attitude in any circumstances." Now, if Frankl in the hellhole of a concentration camp could choose his attitude, you can do it as well. And the question to ask when things go wrong, when you're annoyed at something at work or home or other place, the question to ask is, what do I want my attitude to be? What do I want my attitude to be? I'll give you one quick illustration of this. Let's assume that before you came to work, you asked your teenage kid to record some program on television. We forget about they should be at school today. You go home from this work day, from the Gift of GAB webinar as well, full of the joys of life. You want to go in and you want to comment. You can ask, did you record the program on television? And you get a kind of a blank. They didn't really get what you were doing. Internet connection is unstable. I apologize. So, all right. So you'll get this kind of an expression from your teenager, where the teenager kind of wonders, what am I supposed to have done? So your first reaction is you're going to be miffed, the teenager's going to be miffed, the dog runs away, the cat hides underneath the table. So there's a dog running away. We got the cat hiding, or we got a cat running. And as well as that, then you have a hamster running around the treadmill at 100 revolutions per second, saying to itself, why doesn't someone remember to ask the question, what do I want my attitude to be? Because if you ask yourself the question, what do I want my attitude to be in that kind of a situation, you're not going to say, I want to be angry. You're not going to say, after you ask the question, what do I want my attitude to be? You're not going to say, I want to be upset. If you ask that question, what do I want my attitude to be? You're more likely to say, I don't want to be angry. I don't want to be annoyed. And by taking that route, you will actually make some effort not to be angry, not to be upset, and not to be annoyed. It is a powerful question that can really make a difference to you. It is also a powerful question when things go wrong, but it's also a very powerful question before things go wrong. So in your environment, I've got work colleagues that are difficult to work with. I'm sure none of you have got clients that are difficult to work with. But if perchance sometimes a different conversation about to come up, what you could do is you could say to yourself before the conversation, what do I want my attitude to be? What do I want my attitude to be? And before, if you ask the question before the conversation, what will happen is you will say to yourself, I need something to get something out of this conversation, right? Apologize for the so the question to ask before something goes wrong is, what do I want my attitude to be? When that you ask that question, you're going to say, I don't want to be I need to get something out of this meeting. I need to be able to move forward with this person. And you can start going into the meeting with the right attitude because you've asked the question, what do I want my attitude to be? Final element of the Gift of GAB is behavior. And basically here, your behavior creates your brand. Your behavior determines what people say about you. What people say about you is your brand. So the question is, what do people say about you? I'll skip through the next couple of slides here, but basically the one exercise I would like you to think about here is that if you have a business card, take out your business card, because I'd like you to write down 3 words on the business card. And So we'll ignore it. I'm going to just move faster through this one here because of time constraints. So take out a business card. Write down the 3 words you want your work colleagues to say about you after you have left the meeting. Write down the 3 words you want your potential suppliers or your potential client to say about you after you have left the meeting. What I then encourage people to do is to take those 3 words on the back of the business card, put them in with their driving license or with their credit cards. So the next time you go to the gas station, the next time you're at a restaurant, you can take out that business card and say, hey, would anyone use those 3 words to describe me today? It is a simple, powerful exercise that will help you to create your brand. The 3 words you've written down are your brand promise. What I'm asking you to do is to live them. And if you can live those 3 words, you're going to create the right brand. If you live those 3 words, you're going to have more people wanting to work with you. You're going to have improved employee engagement. All of these concepts are simple, effective, they're common sense. And I'll finish up with just a couple of slides. One of them is, again, from Starbucks. What Howard Schultz says, we have no patent on anything we do, and anything we do can be copied by anyone. But you can't copy the heart and the soul and the conscience of the company. What I genuinely do believe is that if you adopt the concept of goals, attitudes, and behavior, it won't just be the Irish that will have the gift of gab, but you can have it. You will be able to create improved employee engagement. When you create improved employee engagement, you're going to have an improved work environment. When you have an improved work environment, you're going to have improved membership activity and resources as well. So goals, attitudes, and behavior are critical and a wonderful way to improve employee engagement through the gift of gab. That basically is what I wanted to leave you with today. Thank you for your time and for your attention. And I see I had a few internet snafus. I hope it didn't cause too many problems.
No, thanks, Conor. So we do have maybe a minute or two for some questions. We can you can submit those questions through the chat dialogue, and we can field those. Let's see here.
Conor, I think that the presentation was great and a great reminder of how to handle attitudes and especially sometimes difficult situations.
Most definitely. I mean, it's a powerful question. I said to you before the event that I came back from Ireland and we went down to the basement and my wife threw out the F-bomb, i.e. flood. And we had a flood in the basement. And the first reaction is to kind of go up for crying out loud. But then I did actually ask myself the question, what do I want my attitude to be? And there's no point in getting antsy and annoyed about it. It's a powerful question that can make a real difference in the workplace or at home or in community events as well.
Absolutely. Jill just asked, do you have any advice on how to deal with Debbie or Danny Downer?
I think it is an ongoing process. Some people are probably wired that way, but I generally do believe one of the problems with Debbie or Danny Downer is they don't feel appreciated. And if they are Debbie or Danny Downer, they have rarely been complimented, for instance, because they're Debbie Downer, right? So, I mean, if you actually set yourself a goal that I will adopt this chap's concept, specifically with Debbie or Danny over the next 2 to 4 weeks, I bet any money your work relationship with Debbie or Danny will improve significantly. Thanks for the question.